Welcome to the History of Rock Part 1. I'm John Kovach. I just wanted to take a few minutes as we begin the course to talk a little bit about the use of the book and some of the musical materials that we'll be talking about over the course of these 7 weeks. The philosophy of Coursera is to make these courses as widely available and as close to free to people as they can possibly be. So it shouldn't cost you anything to take this course. So the course has been designed so that if you do nothing more than participate in watching the lectures and the quizzes, you should have a perfectly satisfactory experience studying the history of rock with us here. But if you want a deeper experience, one that goes into more detail, one that's able to cover things that we don't have time to cover in the video and other artists and songs, the textbook is actually a pretty good supplement to that. I've worked with my publisher and they're making an online version of the text available to you for a lot less than it would cost to buy the paper text. So you might want to consider that. You don't even have to start with that, but if we start to get into the course and you start to feel like, yeah, this is something maybe I'd like to do, I'd like to know more about that, then you can purchase that text at any time. In fact, if you can find a used copy of the first or second edition of my book, What's That Sound, that would really work just fine too. The current edition is the third edition. Of course, we think that's the best and most improved edition, but the first and second editions are almost very, very close to the same kind of thing. Some certain sort of small changing around that we've done. But I recommend the textbook with the course, but you don't have to. One of the things about the textbook that is offered, though, and that Norton is offering if you buy their subscription, is you'll be able to see the listening guides for a lot of the songs that fit with each of the chapters. And these listening guides lead you through some of the important songs or representative songs in each of the chapters with each of the weeks. There will also be video guides to those listening guides on the Norton site, so you can hear me talking about each of the songs, saying a little bit about them before you listen to them. That brings us to the topic of the songs themselves. In the music business, as we'll study during the course of these 7 weeks, people in the music business have never really had a habit of wanting to wait for their money. They want to be paid now. And when it comes to being able to play music to you here over the internet through Coursera, that's something that we can't do unless we would pay exorbitantly high licensing fees to do it. And since the idea is to keep this as close to free as possible, I'm going to leave it to you to find the music. It shouldn't be too hard to do. People have got all kinds of ways of being able to find this music. It's widely available on the internet, but it's going to be on you to find that. We will create a playlist on iTunes. So if you want to download and pay for the exact versions that I'm talking about in the listening guides, if you happen to use the book, that would be, in fact, the way to do that. There are some differences in versions of these tunes, so you got to be careful that you're actually getting the original version, the one that was originally recorded during the historical period that we're talking about. A lot of times artists were able to re-record the same song. Chuck Berry may have recorded a rollover Beethoven in the 50s, but he may have also recorded it in the 70s. And you happen to get the 70s version of it and you say, golly, that sounds just like a 70s band. Well, actually it is a 70s band because that's the recording he did then. So we really want to get the right recordings. After we get past about Sgt. Pepper and start to get into the late 60s and the early 70s, the only variants you're going to find are live versions versus the original studio versions. But anyway, I wanted to say, take a moment just to talk about the recordings. So you decide for yourself whether or not you'd like to use the book and whether you'd like to get deeper into the material as we go along.